What's up, guys? I'm back with another video regarding my interest in Orthodoxy, and I wanted to say real quick thank you for all the engagement on the last video. I wasn't expecting that to be one of the more popular videos on my channel, and for all the encouragement and stuff. I really appreciate you guys. So I'm now a catechumen. I'm locked in. I'm on the trajectory to be baptized around Greek Easter, and so very grateful and excited for that. Lord willing, the priest will deem me ready for chrismation, and I'll be able to go through with that process. But I'm really excited, and I continue to attend the catechumen classes, attend liturgy and everything, and it's been awesome. I'm trying to get plugged into my church as well and get to know the young adult group, so it's been really cool. At this point, I think the waves of second thoughts have run their course. I actually probably got hit with that maybe twice, where I was like really feeling lost, because it was almost as if I'd turned my back in a way against the Baptist church that I'd been attending. And I'd gotten my feet wet in the Orthodox church so quickly. I was spending 3 days with people from the Orthodox church, or being in the Orthodox church, either at the catechumen class, hanging out with people from the church. I'm a part of a Greek dance team now. And lastly, just liturgy. So 3 to 4 days a week I was spending with them, and I was like, oh my gosh, have I gotten integrated almost too quickly? And these waves of second thoughts would hit me, and I'd be like, I don't know enough. But I feel like I have kind of tackled those. And this weekend I went back to the Baptist church that I used to go to, and regular Sunday service, there was a visiting pastor, and he was extra charismatic in comparison to my pastor that used to mentor me and whatnot. And it just felt like juvenile in a sense. It didn't have that same degree of reverence and seriousness that the Divine Liturgy has, and I don't think I can go back. Like, it doesn't feel anywhere near as sound. And I know it's not supposed to be about how it makes me feel, but it's not the type of feeling that you would talk about when you go to a mega church, where you're like, oh, the hook of this song's hitting me so well. Nothing like that. There's a much more respectful type of worship that I experience in the Orthodox church, and it makes me genuinely feel at peace and like I am there in the presence of God. And it's hard to take serious when it's a symbolic Lord's Supper or symbolic communion, and they don't believe that it's the body and blood of Christ. And the most Baptist churches only recognize 2 of the 7 sacraments, right? And this isn't to knock my old church at all, because it's actually probably the most scripturally sound and closely imitating Orthodoxy. It is the Protestant church most similarly imitating Orthodoxy that I've ever experienced, and that's why I stumbled across it and was like, wow. And so I'd actually met up with my pastor and kind of talked to him about my intent to convert, and he voiced his concerns, and some of which were valid, some of which I felt were a little inconsistent. For example, talking about like the exclusivity of the Orthodox Church, and how, maybe 100 years ago, the Orthodox would tell everyone that they are the one true church, and that, if you aren't Orthodox, you aren't saved. And now that it's kind of come to the Americas and been watered down, it's less serious. But if you hold Baptists to that same scrutiny, there is no previous standard to hold them to, because anytime there's a discrepancy, they just create another reformed version of the Baptist. So there's the Reformed Baptist Church, and then the twice Reformed, and on and on and on, right? And so I felt like that was a little logically inconsistent. He also mentioned that there was a lack of zeal and seriousness of the Orthodox in Greece, which is true, but you could say the same thing about Protestants. So, I didn't find any of those arguments to be terribly compelling or enough to make me stop looking into Orthodoxy. And but at the end of the conversation, he was like, "Hey, if we were a stepping stone in your pursuit of Christ and the Orthodox Church is where you wind up, then we're happy for you." And that was really cool of him, given, he's invested so much time in me, and I imagine probably doesn't want to see me go in the same way that I don't want to leave. But at the same time, like, I feel like I need to do what's best in my pursuit of Christ. And so those are some major developments in my life recently. Tonight there was this Christian happy hour that is hosted at a like outdoor patio bar near me. And so I went, and it's a lot of people that attend like the major mega churches in my area. And I was talking to this gal, and she was asking me, oh, so like, I was telling her how some of my buddies were moving away. And she asked like, oh, well, do you attend a church? Do you have like a church community? And so I kind of broke it down. I've been going to this Baptist church, but now I'm looking into Orthodoxy. It's been new to me, but I've been going for the past 3 months, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, oh, well, that's really impressive that you're willing to do that. And she's like, oh, it's surprising like how many people I've talked to, men in particular, that are converting to Orthodoxy. And she went on to explain that like 3 guys she's, spoken to over dating apps. She never wound up meeting with these guys, but 3 people that she met up with or talked to on dating apps were expressing their interest in Orthodoxy or how they were in the process of converting. And so I think that, it's just really neat. I think social media evangelism is unironically hitting everyone and allowing for exposure to, the most beautiful tradition, in my opinion. And I think it's awesome that like funk edits of pulsing icons with like dubstep in the background is what has brought us here. But I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't admit that was my key into it all. And then after that, I'd start to watch Orthodox priests on YouTube and begin to apply what they taught. And like, I used to struggle really bad with like intrusive thoughts, for example, and I imagine I still will going on in the future. This might just be a little lull in that, but I would implement what those priests would talk about, do the sign of the cross, say the Jesus prayer, and just, wow, like a wave of peace just comes over you, and those negative thoughts dissipate. And obviously it's not always that easy, but the impact that practicing that has made on me has been immense when it comes to many struggles of mine: lust, cursing, just profuse language in general, evil thoughts. Like, I think back to something that I did in like high school, and it would just plague me, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, why can't I get this off my mind? And it would make me so anxious. I'm like in a box in my bedroom, like I don't want to leave my room, I don't want to interact with people. I do the sign of the cross and I pray persistently, and it's crazy how that all just melts away. And I think that Orthodoxy has given me a new degree of reverence for Jesus that I would not normally have. And on top of that, praying to the Theotokos and asking for her intercession was something that seemed so foreign to me. And I was asking other guys in my catechumen class about it, and I'm like, y'all, I don't know why wouldn't I just pray directly to God? And it just, it threw me off. I was like, this is what, I used to criticize about Catholics, and now I'm being told that, or instructed that this is a healthy and correct thing to do. And I was like, well, before my catechumen class, I always go to Paracleses, and I love that service. And that's essentially what you're doing there, is you are praying to the ever Virgin Mary, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, why don't I do this in my personal life on my own prayer time? And so I began to do that, and I watched as her intercession helped so much. And so I'm beyond grateful for what I've learned in the Orthodox Church. And and so additionally, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. There's so much on my mind right now. A lot of my buddies here that go to Protestant churches are caught up in trying to attend a church that has a good young adult body. And the Baptist church that I was attending didn't. It was very small, and everyone my age was either married or, caught up in something. And there's only a handful of us. And I went there for a year. I expressed to my pastor, hey, I actually want to go to this mega church because I feel like there'll be more people I click with. And he encouraged me to stick around, one, because it was his church, but two, he expressed the importance of having people in different life stages around you and being your community. And so I embraced that. And that was such a blessing because the Lord provides, the Lord provides big time, especially when it comes to needing community. And so I wound up finding friends, a bunch of strong Christian guys. I'm just grateful that I didn't go down the path of like going to the mega church where I would have zero spiritual growth and hope of, making friends. Instead, I went where I felt the Lord was calling me, and he filled that void for me, which is just such a blessing. And, that reminds me of Matthew 6:33, where it reads, "But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you." And that's just so beyond truthful, because now my friends and my community are all leaving. One is moving home, one is going to the Marines, two moved away to another city together, and it only leaves a few of us. And I'm like, holy moly, I just lost all of my best friends I've ever had. And suddenly the idea to pursue Orthodoxy pops up, and now I have like a whole community of Orthodox friends, and it seriously is a blessing. And I'm grateful that my area has a strong Greek Orthodox community. Last thing I wanted to touch on here, this is just an extraneous thought, but I think it was funny how, I used to be on the opposite end of the spectrum and completely trash on Catholicism for its liturgical style and rituals. And I was like, I'm sola scriptura. I know the Bible so well. I hadn't even read it cover to cover, and I actually still haven't. I'm in the process of doing that. So I don't say any of this to be like genuinely critical, but like, yeah, I used to be like, oh, the Catholics, they'd be praying to Mary and all this, and their ritualistic style service. The homily's only 10 minutes. How could you ever learn anything? It needs to be an hour. It needs to be, yeah. And I was just a consumer. I would just there was no true worship going on. And, I just needed a long sermon where they reiterate the same thing in different verbiage over and over. That's what I thought that I needed. And I have a really good buddy of mine, Catholic guy, and he talks about how he'll meet like a Protestant girl and he'll tell her that she's Catholic, and their expression goes like, "What? You're Catholic? The ritualistic type of Christian?" And, I'm just like, these folks don't understand the depth and the purpose behind the rituals that transpire in a liturgical format. I just don't get it. And I'm like, if people would just give it a genuine shot, I think that at least 30% of the Protestant male population would convert to Orthodoxy or Catholicism. It's wild how genuinely ignorant people are to the subject, including me, because that used to be me. So, and I say that humbly. This is just me word vomiting everything that I've been thinking. But yeah, that's my update, guys. I am on track to convert, and it's genuinely exciting. Yeah, man, I don't know what the Lord has in store beyond this, but it's been a crazy few months for me, and just feeling very blessed and excited for what the future holds. So, Lord willing, I am chrismated in March or April. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and take care. Subscribe if you want some more updates on my Orthodoxy journey.